Assalamu alaikum. Hope you guys are doing good. This is something that a lot of people were asking about. What's the zakat on crypto? How do I pay zakat? Do I need to pay zakat? Is crypto technically considered as currency? Gold? What is marhaba? Is marhaba currency or gold? So there's so many questions about this, and so we got the man himself, Dr. Farooq Habib. So Dr. Farooq Habib is from our SGB, which is our Sharia Governance Board, and he's the one who's knowledgeable about this. He's given a presentation about zakat on various assets and also on crypto before. So we're gonna let him speak about this. Dr. Farooq, just give a quick update about yourself, and then inshallah we can go into the details of crypto and zakat and whatnot.
Okay, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and hello everyone. I am Dr. Farooq Habib. I am actually responsible for the Sharia governance framework and implementation for Marhaba DeFi. And my background is Islamic law, economics, and finance, and I have been in the crypto space since 2016. So many people since then have asked me about the zakat on crypto, but I remember that back in 2016 and 17, people were, especially like Sharia scholars, were exploring this field, and it was at a very initial stage, and because of that, those concepts were very new to Sharia scholars. They were not able to answer those questions. Similarly, because they were not able to understand this phenomena. And at that point in time, I remember that when I was talking to many Sharia scholars, they were just uprightly saying that all the cryptos are haram. So because of that, there is no point of asking questions about paying zakat on it. Because I will be also talking about in my presentation that we have to pay zakat only on the Sharia compliant assets. And what would be the treatment of Sharia non-compliant assets? I will be telling also about it in my presentation. So at that point in time, those scholars were saying that, okay, there is no point of discussing zakat on crypto assets. But I think that after like almost 5 years, now it's a very great time that we are talking about zakat on cryptos. And many people have asked me about it because they have been investing in it. They have been doing different activities, for example, trading, and staking, yield farming, and then investing, early investors. And also there are other people who are trying to create their own crypto assets. So because of that, there are so many questions. There is a lot of confusion also about this. So I think that this is a very good platform and a very good time to speak about it, and to understand that what is basically what are the main concerns, and how we calculate zakat on crypto assets. Before that, let me just tell you that zakat is very, very important, one of the most important pillars of Islam. And normally we pay zakat with some conditions. So it's not on every Muslim, but the Muslim has to be eligible, whether it's a male or female. They have to be eligible to pay zakat. So just very quickly, briefly talking about the eligibility. So a person has to be a grown-up, but according to Imam Abu Hanifa, he says that it does not matter that if a person is grown up, if a child owns enough or sufficient assets under his custody, where the zakat is applicable, then his guardian has to, or his parents have to, or her parents have to pay zakat on it. So this is basically the ruling, number one. And number two is that zakat is paid on the savings or on the assets which have already passed 1 year under your custody. What does it mean is basically that there is a confusion, because last week somebody called me, and then we had a long discussion. I was trying to explain that what does it mean that 1 year has already passed. So some people, I think that it's a common mistake that some people think that you have to pay zakat on a very specific asset when it is under your custody for 1 year. That is not the case. For example, if I have $1,000 a specific amount with me for 1 year, and I
Okay.
consider it that it's a separate asset. And then afterwards, what happens is I receive $1,000 more, but I'm treating it separately because this $1,000 hasn't passed 1 year with me. Okay. So then people say that we have to separately treat them. No, this is wrong. So this is a misconception. What we need to do, because $1,000 on one side and $1,000 on the other side, both are same genus, so same type of asset. So we merge them. And then once we merge them, only then we calculate zakat on it. So this is a very big misconception, that people treat similar type of assets differently. Say that, okay, this 1,000, because I remember that that person was arguing that I received my salary, in UAE dirhams 1 month ago. So that salary is, I know that it hasn't passed 1 year with me, because I received it 1 month ago only. So I need to exclude it. So I told him, no, you do not have to exclude it, because when 1 year passed by, then you have to take a snapshot. So let's suppose that your zakat anniversary is 1st of Ramadan. Okay. So what you need to do is, like, 1 year passes by, and then after 1 year, on the 1st Ramadan is your zakat anniversary. So you have to take a snapshot of all your assets, so that what assets you have, and then calculate zakat on them, regardless of whether you have recently owned a new asset. You have to merge it with a different with the similar one. For example, if you have received gold 1 week ago, previously you had gold, but you also received some more gold 1 week ago, then you have to merge it and then calculate the zakat on it. So similarly, if you have received money, for example, and previously you also had money, so you have to merge that new money with the old money to calculate zakat on it. So you do not exclude it. So this is rule number 2. Another misconception, it's basically, these are not rules but misconceptions. I'm just trying to clarify them and trying to take this opportunity to clarify them. So another misconception is that some people can think that when it's basically, there is a threshold of zakat which we call nisab, and a person who possesses that amount of asset, we call him or her sahibun nisab, means the owner of nisab. Okay. So some people think that they have to exclude the amount of nisab, and they calculate zakat on the extra amount of it. For example, if let's suppose that zakat nisab is $1,000, okay, and a person owns $1,500, which means that he is sahibun nisab. Okay, so he owns the zakat threshold and assets. So I was also discussing this with various people. Some people called me and asked me that, okay, so in this scenario, for example, this asked me that, okay, do we have to exclude the nisab, which is $1,000, and calculate zakat on the remaining $500? So that is again wrong. So what you need to do is you have to include the nisab in the zakat calculation. So the zakat will be calculated on the whole $1,500 of zakat on
Got
it,
it. Got
right?
it. Got
You
it.
do not have to exclude nisab and then pay zakat on the extra, whatever is extra from the nisab. No, it is not correct. So I think that this is something which I wanted to highlight first before moving on to zakat on cryptos. And to understand that how we calculate zakat on cryptos, first we need to understand that how Sharia approaches this issue and how Sharia sees crypto assets. So I intentionally used this terminology of crypto assets because the term cryptocurrency is a misnomer. Because we know that not all crypto assets are currencies. For example, NFTs, if we are talking about security tokens, they are strictly not currencies, right? So we need to understand that it's a complete asset class, And it's not like all the crypto assets are like Bitcoin, and then you have to say that all of them are cryptocurrencies and then we treat them as currencies. No, this is wrong. Number one. So what is crypto asset then? So a crypto asset is a digital representation of value that uses cryptographic technique for encryption. So what does it mean is that in this definition, we can see that there are three main terminologies. Number one is digital, which means that it is virtual, intangible, and digital form of asset. So it does not have any physical form. Number two is that it has value, but it does not have its own value. It derives its value from another source. It can be that source can be something, for example, trust of people. For example, in the case of Bitcoin, why people give value to Bitcoin is because they trust the system and they find that the system has some utility and benefits. And because of transparency, security, they trust they trust the system. Because of that, they give value to the token, which is Bitcoin. Sometimes the source of value is a commodity. For example, there are gold-backed tokens, there are silver-backed tokens. I have seen precious metal-backed tokens, and even the perishable goods-backed tokens also. I have seen them for like vegetables and fruits. Even I remember that I found one token in Philippines. It was issued in Philippines, and it is called banana coin. So that banana coin was actually backed by a specific quality and quantity of banana, which was stored in a storage. So and on top of that, they issued this token. So that they say that 1 kg of that specific quality of banana represents is represented by one token. So in that sense, it's a complete digital representation of an actual banana. So then again, it derives its value from the prices of that banana. Okay. Sometimes there is a value behind a token derived from a business or a project. For example, if we look at Marhaba, so it's basically a project. And Marhaba tokens derives its value from the project itself, because in that project we have different products. When people use it, we have tied up the whole ecosystem and all the products with Marhaba token, right? So, and that Marhaba token acts like a blood in the body. So there are different organs, and then there is blood flowing within the body. So this is basically like a token, actually. So Marhaba token is like that. Sometimes we have already been talking about CBDCs, which are basically cryptocurrencies issued by central banks of or a government. So that also can be a source of value for a specific token. And then we also have some intangible and utility and benefits. For example, rights, benefit, user product attached to a token that gives value to that token. In our case, also again, Marhaba token is also a utility token because it has some rights, benefits, user products attached to it. Now, cryptographic technique is very something which is very technical, but it is basically to secure the network and to ensure that the transactions are being carried out in a secured and safe manner.
Cool. That's a good background. Some good overview.
So yeah. So then,
guys, if you haven't already, get yourself a pen and a piece of paper and get started with the notes, because that's exactly what's going on here. But again, if you want to listen to it again and again, this is a recording. This is going to be on YouTube. This is you can continuously watch it and go over it again and again. Sorry. Yes. Keep going.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ahmad. So if you look at how do we divide crypto assets, because according to the type of crypto asset, we will apply the ruling of Zakat. So first of all, we have cryptocurrencies, which are basically currencies, or we can consider them as cash. This includes stable coins, for example, USDC, BUSD, etc., and unstable coins also. So unstable coins is basically are the coins which are not backed by any reserve or any other asset, but they are meant to be a payment token, which means that they are not backed by anything. Their prices fluctuate, their value goes up and down, but they are basically used as a mode of payment or as a coin. So they are called unstable coin. An example of unstable coin is Bitcoin, Litecoin. These are unstable coin because they do not have any reserves, or they do not derive any their value from any other asset. Stable coins are basically those which derive their value from another asset. They can be algorithmic coins, they can be non-algorithmic coins as well. And then we have tokens. Tokens can be divided into two: utility tokens and security tokens. If you look at security tokens, so utility token is very straightforward. It has a right, usufruct, or utility behind it, and we derive value for that token from that utility. Security token can be divided into 4 different asset-backed tokens, like they can be backed by gold, silver, any commodity, or real estate. And then you also have a second category of security tokens, which is equity tokens. Equity tokens are very similar to stocks and shares, but because they give you a right and ownership interest in a company, and they give you the right to vote in it, and then you, at the time of default, you will be eligible to have leftovers assets, and also you have the right over the dividends paid and the profits also, and capital gains through that shares or stock. So similar to that, it's a blockchain based token which is of the similar of the same asset. So this is called equity token. And then we have investment tokens. Investment tokens are, I consider them as like, for example, ETFs or sukuk, Islamic bonds, in the form of tokens. So these are basically investment tokens. And then we also have non-fungible tokens. Now, non-fungible tokens are quite tricky because they may be security token, or they can be a very separate form, because now we are seeing that the non-fungible tokens, the concept as a concept and also their applicability is expanding every day. Because of that, we are seeing new types of non-fungible tokens, which we are considering that they will create a new forms of and types of crypto assets. Even I do not know, but there was non-fungible tokens which were fungible also. So I do not know what was the reason behind having non-fungible tokens fungible. So again, but it's, I think that people are experimenting with this type of tokens very much, and we are going to see some new types under this category. Hybrid assets are basically assets which combine the features of one or two different types. For example, a utility token can be used as a payment token also. So on the system, for example, Ethereum is a sort of like utility token, but it is also a payment token. So it's like a hybrid. Most of the crypto assets are actually hybrids. So because of that, it is very complicated to understand that what would be the Sharia ruling of those crypto assets and how we pay zakat on that. Okay, so categorization of crypto assets for zakat purposes. First of all, we have seen a categorization before, but for the categorization of crypto assets for zakat purposes, we have initial segregation as Sharia compliant crypto assets and Sharia non-compliant crypto assets. So these are the two main categories. So first of all, I would like to talk about the Sharia non-compliant crypto assets. So the Sharia ruling for those in terms of zakat is that it is impermissible to initially buy, hold, or invest such assets. So so you cannot basically, as a Muslim, you are not allowed from the Sharia to buy, hold, or invest in Sharia non-compliant crypto assets. If someone has already invested or bought such assets, then scholars suggest differently. For example, like if there is a profit, you have made some profit either by capital gains or by airdrops, etc., it should be immediately sold, and the initial investment can be kept, while the whole profit should be given to a charity without the intention of reward. So that is basically, some of the scholars are saying, if in loss, a person should immediately sell those assets and keep the initial capital at a loss. So this is another ruling of Sharia scholars, that should immediately sell all those assets and keep the initial capital at a loss. So I mean, they were saying that, okay, once the moment you realize that you have invested in Sharia non-compliant asset, you have to get out. But some other Sharia scholars are saying that you can wait until you reach to the break-even point, and then you can sell it. And even if, let's suppose that you utilize other assets, for example, like if you are holding it and then you are farming them, and then you sell everything, and then you can reach to the break-even point, they say that, okay, it is permissible to do that, unless you have to actively trade it. So but those scholars also do not allow to actively trade it in order to recover your loss. And then some scholars are saying that a person may hold such assets until the initial capital is recovered, but cannot keep trading it for such purpose. So like, he is not supposed to actively trade it, or actively doing farming, or staking, etc., to recover the loss. He can only just wait until the initial capital is recovered, and then he can sell it. If such assets are given for free, like airdrop, then the whole amount of such assets should be sold, and the price received should be given to the charity without the intention of reward. So in this case, if you have received it as an airdrop, then of course, like, it means that it's a free money or free asset which you have been given. So you have to basically let it go, regardless of whether it is in loss or in profit, or the price are going up or down. You just immediately get rid of them. Now, there is another important factor, which is that intention in zakat calculation. It is a very important factor, and when I was doing some research on cryptos, I found that the niyyah, the intention, plays a very vital role in the calculation of zakat in cryptos. Because there is a hadith which says that innamal a'malu binniyat, which means that the deeds depend upon the intentions. So the intention plays a vital role in the calculation of zakat of any property or asset, and also for crypto assets. So let's see that, like, what is basically how it plays its role and how we calculate zakat. So impact of intention, first of all, we need to look at it, that intention in zakat calculation. Rule number 1 is any crypto asset which is bought with the intention of trading is subject to zakat at 100% of its market value at the time of calculation of zakat. So if, let's suppose that you have a zakat anniversary, and on the day of your anniversary, zakat anniversary, you have found that the portfolio which you are keeping for trading is worth something. And so you have to calculate the zakat on the whole market value of this portfolio on that day. So this is the ruling, because when you are intending to keep assets for trading, then they are treated as inventory or as subject matter of sale and trade. And because of this fact, you have to calculate zakat on these type of assets at a 100% market value. Rule number 2 is cryptocurrencies, be it stable coins and unstable coins, are treated as cash. So you have to include them in cash and calculate their value, and in terms of cash, and then pay zakat on it. So they are subject to zakat regardless of the intention, whether you are trading those cryptocurrencies or you are just keeping them so that, like, their value goes up at a later stage for long-term holdings, for example. So you have to treat them as cash. I'm talking about cryptocurrencies, actually, not other types of assets here. And rule number 3 is that if the intention is not clear, or the intention is other than trading, then the zakat will be calculated based on the nature of the crypto assets. So like, if you do not have any intention at all, you just bought it, but you really do not know that whether you are going to sell it in the short term for trading, or you are going to hold it for long term. So in that case, and it is not, or if it is not clear, then you have to look at the type of the asset you are holding, and then zakat will be applicable on them according to the type. So zakat on Sharia compliant utility tokens. So how you are going to do that? So if you have bought it again with the intention of trading, then zakat will be calculated on 100% of the market value of the tokens at the time of zakat. And then if you have bought them with the intention of availing the utility itself offered by the tokens, then zakat will not be due on them, because they are just utility tokens and you are holding them just to avail the utility itself. So your aim is different. So your intention is different here. So because of that, zakat will not be applicable on those assets. But if the intention is not clear or there is no primary intention, then the zakat will not be due on them again. Zakat on secure Sharia compliant asset backed tokens. So then if you are holding any token which is gold and silver backed tokens, then regardless of the intentions, zakat will be calculated according to the Sharia standards of gold on gold and silver. Because if you are holding a token which is backed by gold, then it means that it is actually gold in itself. So because of that, you have to consider it as gold, and then you calculate zakat on it as gold. And then commodity backed tokens. So if you have purchased as an investment, then zakat will depend on the underlying asset. So this is basically again based on intention, that if you have bought it as an investment, and if you have purchased it with the intention of trading, then of course it will become a tradable asset, and the zakat will be applicable on the 100% value of market value of that asset. And then real estate backed tokens, again, if you have purchased as an investment, then zakat will depend on the current market value. And if you have purchased with the intention of trading, then again you will go back to the simple rule that the tradable items are zakatable at their 100% market value. And if you have purchased to own the underlying piece of land for personal use, then there will be no zakat on it. Okay, and zakat on security, Sharia compliant equity, investment, and non-fungible tokens. So how do we calculate them? So on equity tokens, if you have purchased them as an investment to receive dividends, zakat will depend on the underlying zakatable assets of the company. So what you need to do is, like, if it is an equity token and you are receiving dividends and then putting them in the savings, then of course, like, zakat will be applicable on the savings. But if they reaches the nisab, but you also have to pay zakat on the zakatable assets of the company. And if you have purchased with the intention of trading, then again zakat will be applicable on the 100% value of the
Sorry to
token.
cut you off there. Could you kind of give an example of what would be a equity or investment non-fungible token? Is it like NFT that's built on a stock or an equity?
So, okay, NFT is something different, but equity tokens, we have already seen some security tokens, which are representing ownership in the company, and they also represent ownership interest in the assets of the company, and dividends whenever they are distributed among the shareholders or the equity token holders in our case. And
Okay.
also, so for example, like and also at the time of default, they have the right to basically own the leftover assets in the company. So these are the equity tokens. There are few tokens I remember, because in 2019 and 2020, I have seen some of the equity tokens were issued accordingly.
Okay.
So because of that, I can't remember the name, but there are platforms basically for that. So from there, like, those are the structured platforms where you can issue your own security token.
Got
So
it.
so these are basically security tokens. And then investment tokens are different, because they are not giving you an ownership interest in a company. So but it is an ownership in the portfolio itself. So for example, like, we have seen crypto in ETFs. So this is basically like an investment token. And if, let's suppose that somebody has wrapped it in a token, so like it's an ETF, it is actually investing in different types of commodities and assets, but it is in the form of a blockchain based token. So then it will become an investment token, right? So, and non-fungible tokens are basically different because if you have seen non-fungible tokens, mostly they are in the form of art. So digital art. So though if we are talking about art-based NFTs, then they are zakatable on the basis of, first of all, the art should be Sharia compliant. If it is not Sharia compliant, then you cannot own it as a Muslim. But
Then you don't have to pay zakat on it.
yeah, you have to basically give away this whole asset to the
Yeah.
charity.
Then the whole thing is zakat.
Yeah, so the whole thing is actually, you can treat it as zakat. I mean, the whole thing will go as
Okay.
sadaqah
Yeah.
in a charity. So this
Uh-huh.
is if it is not Sharia compliant. If it is Sharia compliant, then you have to value the NFT itself. This is for the art NFTs. But if, let's suppose, the NFT is representing something different which is not tradable, for example, a certificate, or an NFT which represents any other thing which is non-tradable, so then you do not have to pay zakat on it, on that NFT,
Okay. Okay. Okay.
right? So I think that this is all from my side. But if you have any question, please do ask. I tried my best basically to summarize the whole thing in a limited time. So yeah, this
Yeah.
is from my side.
I had given Dr. Farouk a here. Let me kind of turn this off so it's only us two. So I'd given him the request of quickly high level overview, and I know every one of you guys would want a personalized way of calculating and all that stuff. We have talked about maybe a calculator or not, and that will take some time and effort to build. But in the meantime, it would be important if you go through the stream again and just stop and rewatch and stop and rewatch each slide. You can get a better understanding of it. But to answer specific questions and a little bit more technical questions, if you have them, Dr. Farouk, I'm going to request you to come back on April 26th, 1 p.m. GMT, which is same time this time, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, inshallah. Then
Okay.
I will be there. And if you, I think that that session would be specifically for Q&A. So there will be no presentation, but directly we go into the questions, and then we take the questions and reply to them.
Yeah, so we'll go maybe very quick high level overview, 5 minutes about crypto and zakat, and then just zakat in general also. and sorry, and then right after that we'll go into your questions. So if you have questions about how to pay zakat on your crypto, put them in the comments because I will take them from the comments, and then I will directly send them to Dr. Farouk in preparation for that video. And what we'll do is, if you are on our Telegram or if you're on our Twitter, we'll be releasing a form, a Google form, so you can fill out all your questions, and all those forms, like the questions from those form, will go to Dr. Farouk and the actual entire SGB, and they will come prepared for your questions and answer them. And then if you have any questions directly on the live, we will also try to give you some time to ask those questions if we have time. So I would say I highly recommend you put the questions down in the comments right now. So it's already written down somewhere for it to be answered, and you don't lose your chance of asking your questions if you want to. And that's about it for this video, guys. Dr. Brook, any last few minutes or words that you want to leave the community with before we end this off?
Jazakallah khaira, and thank you so much. I think that I tried my best basically to clear up few misconceptions and also giving some guidelines on how to calculate zakat on cryptos. But yeah, I do believe that it's still like a work in progress, and the research is still going on.
I think you stepped off for a second. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think you're back.
sorry for that. Yeah, so I think that it is a good time because Ramadan is here. Everybody is feeling the blessings of Ramadan, and then everybody is in a high spirit. So please be generous, inshallah, in giving zakat and sadaqat to whatever charity you are feeling comfortable with, and inshallah do it as. And I also presented in my presentation that. It depends also on the niyyah. So I think that we have to purify our niyyah as well, because this is the month of purification as well, inshallah.
Alhamdulillah. Okay. So that's it, guys. That kind of wraps up this video. I've taken down some notes. As you guys might have seen me looking around and taking on some notes. And likewise, I expect the same, that you guys take notes and from there be intellectually aware of how you're doing your zakat, not just for crypto, but also for your real estate investments, your stock investments, your just general money laying around, your gold laying around, all the gold that your mom and your wife and your daughters have. You gotta remember, there's also zakat on that too. So all that stuff. That's about it. Take care of yourself. Keep us in your du'as. Assalamu alaikum.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.